If we look at the Swagger UI and toggle, for example, the Create Post Endpoint tab, we'll notice that there's no information on what request body is expecting to properly create a new coffee resource. How do we know what shape of an object is expected by this specific post action in order to successfully add a new coffee if we don't have any information provided to us here in the Swagger UI? If we look at our application's code, we actually have a dedicated DTO class that represents the input API for this endpoint. But unfortunately, this is not enough to automatically generate the open API schemas out of the box. TypeScript's metadata reflection system has several limitations which make it impossible to, for instance, determine what properties a class consists of or recognize whether a given property is optional or required. However, some of these constraints can be addressed at compilation time. Nest provides a plugin that enhances the TypeScript compilation process to reduce the amount of boilerplate code we'd be required to create in order to tackle this problem. Note that this plugin is opt-in. If you prefer, you can declare all of the Swagger decorators manually or add specific decorators wherever you need to override the base functionality provided by the plugin. To enable this new Swagger CLI plugin, simply open up the Nest CLI JSON file and add the following compiler options configuration. You can see we're including the Nest.js Swagger plugin in the plugins array here. Let's save our changes and fire up the terminal. To make sure that the Swagger plugin is properly loaded by the compiler, let's terminate the current process and rerun the build in development mode with npm run start:dev. Once the application is ready, let's head back to the browser window and refresh the Swagger UI page. Now, we can see that the UI actually reflects the Create Coffee DTO with all of its properties. The Nest.js Swagger plugin was able to do all of the heavy lifting for us, determining all of the properties here at compilation time. We didn't have to lift a finger. Next, let's toggle the patch endpoint and see if it properly reflects the Update Coffee DTO. It looks like Swagger wasn't able to reflect this DTO properly, and for some reason, as we can see, there are no properties specified here in the schema. To fix this, let's head over to the Update Coffee DTO file and make sure we're importing partial type from the Nest.js Swagger package instead of the Nest.js mapped types package. This change helps achieve the same functionality while instructing Swagger that these are all in fact optional properties. Let's save our changes, switch back to the browser, and refresh the page. Great, there we have it. Every property is now marked as optional, as it should be. As we can see, the Nest.js Swagger plugin not only helped us tackle tough issues, but it even figured out almost everything about our endpoints. Without the plugin, we would have had to put decorators on top of everything and specified every piece of information about each item. The Swagger plugin automates all of this, but still gives us the ability to override any little thing we want if we need to.